Hi, I'm Isaac from Silence Education. Today we're going to be taking a look at the VNG Spanish visuals. And in the dual language classrooms, our goal isn't just to teach content, it's to build true biliteracy. That means giving students access to rigorous science, math, and social studies instruction, and helping them grow academically in both Spanish and English. The Spanish VNG visuals were designed with that in mind, to support instruction in Spanish in a way that's clear and purposeful. So, what are the VNG visuals exactly? The visuals are more than just translations of the English ones. Each one is tied to a grade level academic term with questions and sentence stems in Spanish that encourage deep thinking and rich discussion. They're structured to support content comprehension and academic language development at the same time, so your students can process rigorous material in Spanish, not just conversational language. Now, let's take a look at what this looks like on the website. Okay, so here we are on the homepage of the Visual Non-Glossary website. I'm logged in, and now I'm going to search for a term. How about photosynthesis? When I click here, you can see that photosynthesis appears in 4th grade as well as 8th grade. And you can clearly see that on the left-hand side, we have the English version of the visual, and then on the right-hand side, we have the Spanish version of the visual. Now, when we take a look at the visual, for emerging bilingual students, visuals in English often provide enough support to access the content. The images, the structure, and labels help them follow along, even if their English is still developing. But in some cases, especially with abstract concepts or heavier vocabulary, previewing or using the Spanish version of the visual can make a big difference. It gives students a stronger starting point, helps them connect new information to what they already know, and it builds confidence. So for example, if I go here, I can click this link to see the Spanish version of the same visual. The structure is the same, the images are the same, but all the vocabulary is translated and accessible to emergent bilingual students. The key is to use Spanish visuals strategically, not as a fallback. It's not about simplifying, it's about clarifying. And when used intentionally, they keep expectations high while making the content more accessible to our students. Okay, now let's take a look at the actual resource. I have the option here to save it to my Google Drive or to download the PowerPoint slide deck. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to click here where it says View Lesson Plan so I can view it in the browser. Now I want to highlight the third slide right here that is often overlooked. When we're working with newcomer students or beginner level emerging bilingual students, we know structured conversations are powerful, but they can also be intimidating at first. This slide gives us specific practical ways to make sure those students are set up for success. For example, we can seat them next to peers who follow directions as well, so they have a good model during partner or group talk. Also, if the sentence stems feel too complex, we can give them simplified or accommodated versions that they can actually use. For instance, we can use sentence stems like I notice blank or word is blank. Or for relational questions, word 1 is blank, but word 2 is blank. Or for the inferential questions, I think word blank, or I predict blank. This is still building academic language, just in a more accessible way. Another great tip is to always pronounce new vocabulary as a class out loud. And for newcomers, it really helps to break the word down into syllables and point to your mouth while you say it. We also want them to participate in structured conversations, but we don't want to put them on the spot too soon. We can wait until they're ready before adding them into our randomization strategy for whole class sharing. One of my favorites is this green box here. Let students preview the visuals and sentence stems ahead of time. If they need it in Spanish, give them the Spanish version of the visual the day before. Let them write out their responses and come to class prepared to engage. And finally, we can also allow for translanguaging. Beginners might mix languages as they're building confidence, and that's okay. Just make sure that they use the academic vocabulary that is presented and let them express the rest however they're most comfortable. These kinds of adjustments don't water down the instruction, they open the door. They make structured conversation routines more equitable and more accessible, so all students, even emerging bilingual students, can take part and grow. Now, let's say that our emerging bilingual students have had a chance to engage with the content in the Spanish visual. You can revisit the same visual in English. Here it is. This is where the bridging happens. This is a chance to compare terms, highlight cognates, and look at the differences between the two languages. For example, you might say, in Spanish, we learned the word energía solar. In English, we say solar energy. What do you notice about these two words? Moments like that help students make connections and reinforce their understanding in both languages. So as you can see, Spanish VNG visuals aren't just helpful, they're powerful. They let you deliver standards-aligned instruction in Spanish while supporting emerging bilingual students and strengthening their biliteracy. They make academic conversations possible. They support writing, and they help students process and retain complex content in Spanish. So whether you're introducing a science term, revisiting a social studies concept, or unpacking math vocabulary, these visuals give students the tools to think, speak, and succeed in both languages.